Today's video is brought to you by StoryboardThat.com. Please visit TeacherCast.net/StoryboardThat for a limited time offer. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TechEducator Podcast. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and thank you so much for joining us on our 98th episode. We have a great time for us today. We're talking all about Google Apps and how to be a Google admin. We have some great guests with us today. I want to bring on Mr. Sam Patterson. Sam, how are you today?
I am super excited to hear 98 ways to use Google Apps to make your school better.
No. That's not the show we're doing here. We don't have time for 98 apps.
Not if you keep talking about things that aren't Google Apps and doing things for school.
Sam, how you doing? You were out here for ISTE, weren't you?
I was. I have finally recovered from the cross-country jaunt. I am enjoying the time out here in the desert, and all the dogs are relatively peaceful.
Very, very cool. What did you like about ISTE?
I liked how many people were there because there were a lot of them. And it seemed like whenever you turned around, there was somebody else you could have a conversation with and learn something, and your head would explode a little bit, and then you'd learn something else. So, that was pretty awesome. And I was really impressed with the number of puppets at ISTE.
How many puppets were at ISTE?
There were at least 6 more after ISTE than there were before ISTE. It was a very productive kind of event.
Now, what is going on in the background there?
Sorry, that's my dog. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. So, Sam, talk to us a little bit about some of the stuff that you were doing there. We had the opportunity to interview quite a lot of people, but I want to bring up specifically your interview with Angela Myers. Waka had a great opportunity to talk to Angela. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Waka and Angela have a really magical relationship that I don't really have much access to, but they really are BFFs, and they go shopping together, and they use the hashtag Shoes to Matter to talk about shoes, which is really, it speaks a lot for how much Waka must care for Angela, because he doesn't even have feet.
That's so true. So true, in fact.
Yeah, I don't even know.
We did a lot of stuff over at ISTE. I want to bring you guys over to our website, TeacherCast.net. We are in the middle of putting up a ton of video footage. TeacherCast.net/ISTE has all of our great interviews here, and let's see. So far we put up stuff with Microsoft Education. We put up the Sway stuff. We put up our stuff with Cameron Evans, and this is taking a little bit of time to load up here. But we put up our interviews with Chris Sharons and Microsoft, and Lego Education was a good one. We had a great time with EdSurge. My favorite was when I got to meet David Saunders for the first time at ISTE, and we did I'm David, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. I'm just back from ISTE/vacation, and I'm just now sort of getting my head above water here.
Did you have a good time at ISTE?
I had a great time at ISTE. I think that was my 4th time going in a row, and each time it gets better because I know more and more people, and I think networking is such an important part of that experience.
What did you think of everything that was going on? I saw you working at you were at the Google booth, right?
I was.
And then
yep.
you were at a few other booths, right?
I was at the Google booth, and I was also at the Little Bits booth, which was a lot of fun as well. So I got to present at the Google booth, the teacher theater on Google Maps and Geo Tools, and then I also got to sort of help out the Little Bits booth and talk about maker spaces and STEAM and STEM and education using circuitry and all that kind of cool stuff.
That's kind of cool. I know we had a good time. Working with Microsoft this year, I got a chance to spend 5 hours broadcasting, and we met the Office Mix team, and I met Ari and Mike from the OneNote team, and we did Sways and all these other great stuff going on there. Really, really cool. I see that Peggy is here live over on TeacherCast.tv, and Peggy, I gotta say, you are absolutely the hit of all of our weeks. Spending time with you, having you as a guest on the show was absolutely amazing, although it did feel like we didn't have an audience when she was in there. What do you think, Sam?
Well, we had some of an audience, but the thing about the Bloggers Cafe is it's a great place to connect with the not at ISTE crowd.
Right.
And I really think of those times that we're podcasting there as, specifically for that not at ISTE crowd, because the at ISTE crowd is up to their, eyeballs in ISTE, as it were.
And the neat part about that was we were giving away tons of free stuff. We gave away Camtasias, and we gave away dates with Craig Yen, I believe. We gave away some of his time. And there's a few other great things that we were giving out. But I do want to stop the show and say the Not at ISTE crowd was fantastic. We had a Voxer group set up. We had Google Plus communities set up. We had Twitter hashtags set up. It was just absolutely amazing to be a part of that stuff. And if you are out there watching, Craig set that up, Jen set that up, Lisa Dabbs was helping set that up, and there was hundreds of people that were all not at ISTE watching these programs. Thank you guys. It was absolutely awesome. Today, we're talking all about Google Apps. Sam, you're a Google certified teacher. What are you now?
I'm an TechEducator.
And in a TechEducator. And David, you're also a Google Certa Innovational Trainer person apps thing, right?
I am an Innovate teacher, whatever Sam said. I'm one of those guys.
Right before ISTE, Google Education put this bombshell on us that said, look, all of those slides that you have created for all your presentations are wrong because we're now changing all of our badging. We're now changing all of our words. And I know that put me into a little bit of a tizzy. I'm sure it put you guys into a tizzy. Walken needed to have new things sewn onto him. There was so many things going on, but we have some new stuff to talk about. And so I want to bring in a friend of ours from the Google Educational Trainer Innovator Program, Mr. Chris Evans. Chris, how are you today?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing well. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am my camera went away. I'm a Google certified admin. I'm a Google Apps for Education certified trainer, or whatever our new title is. And I was actually an admin for the last couple of years on a domain in my district.
And so today we're going to be talking about Google Apps. How do you set it up? Not Google Docs, not Google Sheets, but really from the administrator level. We're going to be answering some of the questions that you guys might have, and I know I certainly have, as far as what can you do as a super admin? What can you do to better set up your Google Apps domain for your school? Chris, how are we doing with that video?
I'm not sure why my video went away.
So let me bring David in here. David, you're a Google Apps certified person as well. What can you tell us about setting up a Google Apps admin account, and what kind of features does the admin account offer right out of the box?
Right out of the box, it's basically all you need for setting up all of your users, your user account, setting all the permissions, enabling and adding on all the different apps that you want within that domain. It is right out of the box. It's an incredibly powerful tool for managing your entire domain. Basically, I mean, it's very simple. It's sort of drag and drop, and it doesn't require a lot of setup. It's for all of the sort of back-end networking tools that I've used, this is probably the easiest by far.
And now, when school districts sign up for Google Apps, are there things that they need to have ahead of time to properly make this migration happen?
Things that they need ahead of time. Well, I mean, they need to have a domain already established, and this is my understanding of it. So I could be wrong. If I am, please let me know. But basically, once you tell Google for Education that you want to start a Google Apps account, you need to verify that you have that domain and that you are an administrator for that domain. And so you can verify that a number of ways, one of which is to paste a snippet of code into the header of your website. And that tells Google that you have access to the source code and that you have basically admin rights for the domain already. And then you can go about creating all your different permissions and roles within that domain.
And so first things first, when you're signing up for this domain, Google Apps for Education is free, correct? That's a big big selling point there for Google Apps. It is a free program that you can have, and that gives your entire school district access to your docs, your sheets, your Google Drive. And the nice thing about this is Google Drive as a school is unlimited.
Right. That's a fairly new development, but yeah, it's unlimited now storage. So, and I know that for some teachers, particularly,
do you still have to opt in?
Opt in for unlimited storage? I'm not sure, Chris.
I know
you need to opt in
at
for
my
that?
school we actually had to. I had to go into the master account and opt in to Google Vault to get that unlimited storage to turn on. I imagine there's a lot of schools that are sitting on it.
Because I wasn't the admin over that aspect. Our director was the admin over that part. I know that we did opt into it if that's what had to be done. But as far as do you have to do it, I can't speak for that. But as far as I know now, that it's any new domains that are created are automatically opted into it.
Awesome.
So, Chris, let's just kind of go over some of the basic things here. What can you do with the Google Apps infrastructure? What can an admin see that a normal teacher can't see? Can you give us a quick screen share here and show us some of the ways that this works?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Well, what you can see that a regular teacher can't see is the users that are in the domain, first of all. Now, you can't see the user accounts. You can see what you can see who the users are, but you can't actually see their account. You can see information about their account, but you can't actually see anything. You can't get into their email. You can't get into their drive, but you can see, like, under users, you can see, like, this demo account that I have. I've got 9 docs owned in this account's Google Drive, and I have 0 gigs of mail storage used because I haven't got the mail working on here. That's been a big issue, is trying to get the mail to go through. You can see what all of their aliases are, and you can reset their password. You can't see their password, but you can reset the password, and you can see how much storage is being used by that user, and then what apps are enabled for that user, because you can turn apps on and off on a per user basis if you need to. If you've got a user that just needs an account, like, say, a substitute teacher, like a long-term sub that needs email to get emails from the principal and campus staff, because they'll be on that campus for a long time, you can turn on Gmail, Calendar, and Drive, and then turn everything else off for that teacher or for that sub. So you're not giving them the full access. You can tailor this how you want to do it per user if you need to, and you can see what groups that they're members of, licenses that they have, and that would be like device licenses, and then you can even see their admin roles, devices that are assigned to them. Everything that is applicable to that account is what you have access to.
So, Chris, we have a couple of questions here, and if you are out there watching on TeacherCast Live at 7 o'clock here Eastern, we have a couple of questions. One of them is about bringing in students. How do you not have to hand do 2,800 students on your new Google accounts?
Well, under the users, you have 2 options. Under Add User, you can do an individual user, but if you want to import multiple all in bulk, you can do a CSV file. That's the easiest way to do it, and they provide you with a sample of a CSV file for you to use, so you can download that CSV, fill it out, and then reattach it here. And I do recommend that you require users to change password. Use a default starter password and then require them to change their password at sign-in. Now, what this will do, it will set all of your users up with the base settings, the base global settings that you have for all of your users. So you can change that, but when you do the multiple import, it will just create them all with the base privileges and rights that you have on a global level. Then you can manually add them to groups and things like that.
So one of the questions that also comes up is, what are best practices when creating users? I've seen some school districts that say Patterson S. I've seen some school districts that say S Patterson at. I've seen Sam.Patterson at. I've seen Sam at. What are some best practices that anybody here has seen as far as creating user accounts?
Well, I know Google recommends the first dot last naming scheme because it avoids the inevitable repeats of someone with the same first initial and same last name within the district. And rarely are you going to run into where two people have the exact same first and last name. And so the first dot last naming scheme is what Google recommends, and I consider that to be the best practice for that.
Somebody also was asking about aliases. What's an alias, and what is that referring to?
An alias is, let's say, like my full name is Christopher, and so when my email gets created, let's say that my district created my email as christopher.evans@schooldistrict.org. Well, that's a long email address, and I don't mind if it gets shortened down to Chris. So what I can do is I can create an alias of chris.evans@schooldistrict.org and use that as my primary email address, and all of my email will come to my account. Every alias that is listed. If you have multiple domains, some districts will buy the .com, .net, .org, all three for their same organization, for their same school district, and they'll use all of them just to protect themselves so nobody else grabs the domain with a different extension on it. And aliases are just replacement email addresses for the users. One of the most common uses for an alias is when staff members get married. You don't have to create them a new account. You can create them an alias with their new married name, and they can use that email address, but it's all routed to their original account.
So is that also a good way to have principal at your school, and that automatically goes to whoever just happens to be sitting in the chair at the time?
Yes. If you want, well, no, actually, no, because that will be attached to that account. Oh. Aliases will be attached to the account that to the user account that they're given. If you want to do a principal at, that would be done through a completely different setting.
And how do you do all that with the CSV? Let's say you have 3,000 kids, because we're talking about this here on the chat here. Somebody says if the kid's name is John Smith, they do John S. and then the year 2016, year of their graduation or something like that. So does the CSV file just ask for first name, last name, potential email, or does somebody literally have to go in there for 3,000 users and create what that's going to be before uploading the CSV?
Most. I'll show you what the CSV looks like, or at least I'll bring up the CSV and tell you what it looks like. Most of the student information systems, you can export out the student information as into Excel or as a CSV. What you can do is kind of merge the two. You can open the CSV file from the Excel document, whatever that you got from your student information system, and you can use that to populate the CSV file that you get from Google. And really the one you get from Google, it's just making sure that the headers are right, and the headers they're using are first name, last name, email address, password, secondary email, phone, home phone, work phone, mobile phone, work address, home address, employee ID, employee type, employee title, manager department, and cost center. Those, the only things you have to fill out are first name, last name, email address, and password. That's all you have to do to create the users. So you can export the data from your student information system and change the headers to match what Google has. I recommend set a universal password so you can just copy that down. Now, as far as the email addresses go, this is another place that the first dot last becomes very useful, because you can create a, if you've already got their first name column, their last name column, create an extra column for the at whatever address, and then merge those into one cell, and it kind of does the work for you.
Okay.
Did that make sense?
No, it absolutely did. I mean, we have a lot. We actually have a pretty healthy chat going on here over on TeacherCast Live about different ways to do things. Now, David, you said that you do first initial, last name. Does this get easier? I would assume, year 2, year 3, because you're only adding maybe less than 100 kids versus the initial setup of a few thousand.
I'm going to unmute myself before I start talking. It definitely becomes easier each year because, as you said, we've been Google Apps now, I think, 5 years. So that first push to get everyone in was a full summer, I think, worth of work. And now it's I don't know how many kids we get in each year, but it's maybe a couple hundred each year. But yeah, we do the first initial, last name, and then when there's sort of a redundancy, we've got kids with the same first initial from the same family or same last name. We just do first and second initial, last name, and then first, second, third initial, in the few occasions where that's been required.
So what happens once you get all this stuff set up? Let's say that you want to create user groups where you have so many people and they're in the high school, so many people are in the middle school. How do you break these people down into manageable? Is it through email groups or is it just through Google Apps groups?
Well, you create just in your admin console, there's a place for groups, and you just go to group and then you create your group. And when you create your group, you name it and then you give it an email. So like if you want to do your elementary campus, then you say elementary campus, then elementary at whatever, and you can put a description. And then once you create that, you can add users to it. Now, you can do, if you do this when you first start out, there's a couple of things you can do to save yourself a little bit of time. Is if you have all of your staff imported and that's all you have and you don't have any students and you want to create an all staff email group, then you can do add all users. So if you don't have any users outside of what you want in this group, you can add all of them at one time. Same way, if you want to add all your students first, then you can do it that way. But this is where you would create those email groups.
And that's different than Google Groups, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And now let's just keep going down your list there. Device management. What is that?
Device management, that is where you will manage Android devices and Chromebooks. Mobile devices, this would be your Android and iOS devices, and Chrome devices would be for your Chromebooks. Then you have Chromebox for meetings, which is a really specific thing. It gives you like a dedicated place to do webcasting meetings. But when you go to Chrome devices, and Jeff and I were talking about this earlier about controlling extension installations, this is actually where that is done. Right now I have I have a personal Chromebook that I've enrolled here. So there's my Chromebook that I've enrolled, and when I look at my Chromebook, I can go and I can see all the information about this Chromebook that I have enrolled, and I can add an asset tag, and all of the information that I need, the user that it's assigned to, and back over here, I can create organizations just like you would in Active Directory. So an example of why you would use this and how you could use this is creating what they call kiosk mode. So the district that I was with previously, all of our library machines were on kiosk mode, meaning whenever they booted up, they logged into a guest account and they opened up to the electronic card catalog. And after 5 minutes of inactivity, the machine rebooted itself, and after someone had used it, they don't reboot themselves all day. Once someone has used it and there has been no more activity for 5 minutes, and we controlled that time, it rebooted itself back to the kiosk mode and signed the user out of everything because it was a guest account, almost like an incognito mode. And if they needed to open a new tab and go search somewhere else, they could do that and check their mail and get to their drive and everything. But if you have different permissions that you want for different devices, for different campuses, like if you've got Chromebooks at your high school, then you want them to have specific permissions, you can create a high school organization and move all of your high school Chromebooks into that, and they will share the permissions that you have set up for that organization.
So let me get this right, because this is really awesome and this is new to me. If you have 1 million Chromebooks that you get in, this is how you put 1 million Chromebooks on the same Google ecosphere for your school by using this menu here?
Yes. Now you do have to purchase a license for every device. You would have to purchase a management license for each device, and you would have to manually enroll each device. Now, enrolling a device is not difficult, but there's no quick way to do it. Whenever the device boots up the first time, instead of signing into it like you normally would sign into a Chromebook, you hit Control-Alt-E, and it will open up a window that says Enterprise Enrollment, and you can use any account on that domain, and it will automatically enroll the device.
So that automatically hooks the Chromebook into this admin panel.
Yes. Now, if you have a trusted group that you want to have them enroll their own device, I don't recommend that, but if you trust them enough to do that, then that can save you some time. We created an enrollment user account and had some student workers help us to enroll the 500 that we had to do last summer, and it went really quickly because it's just that one key command, and then you log in just like you normally would, and it enrolls it on its own and then shows up listed under your devices.
But that's just essentially to pair that physical device to your app's ecosystem. So in other words, the kid, that's not pairing it for a kid. You can still have that Chromebook being used by 100 different people.
Yes, absolutely. Now you can, if you want it to be assigned to a specific user, you can control that through the settings right here. But if you just want it enrolled, it will be attached, for lack of a better word, to the account that enrolls it. But this actually can work for asset management as well.
Hey Sam, do the puppets come with this? When you turn Waka on for the first time, can you hit a couple buttons and have it automatically find that voice that you're using it for and have it find that exact personality?
Almost, but no.
Going back to Google Apps. That's really cool, though, Chris, that you can do all these different things.
Chris, could you talk? You mentioned also doing that asset management. I'm assuming that doesn't mean money. Can you talk a little bit about what that means?
Oh, the asset management, that's just your devices, because it has a place for asset tag right here for the asset ID. And then you can put the actual user that it's assigned to, because again, by default, it tells you to use, or it assigns it to the user that enrolled the device. but you can assign it to whatever user, and then if you want to have notes, and then what campus for location. And there are barcode scanners. If you're using asset tags with barcodes, there are barcode scanners that you can just a USB scanner where you can scan the barcode, and it will put whatever the number is, automatically populate that field with that number. So when you're checking these out, if you're using an asset tag system, you can go to that device on your management console, and then using a USB barcode scanner actually populate the asset tag field automatically.
Huh, that's interesting.
And then you can run reports on who has what device and things like that.
We have Chromebooks and iPads in my library that get lent out, and it's, you know, trying to manage all of that. Sometimes it's a sticky note, sometimes it's an email, sometimes it's. So are you saying this would be a way to circulate these devices in a more efficient way?
Not circulating them in a row, like they get checked in and out on a regular basis and used by different people. This would be a way to manage them if they were checked out to students or staff to keep for the year and then checked back in.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I've not seen that before.
So, Chris, let's talk a little bit about docs management, because recently I did a show with a company that does Google Apps management, and they claim that they're the best resource for managing who's using what doc, how it works. Talk to us a little bit about what kind of strategies you can use if you're just using the Google Apps doc. How do you know how many docs people are using, or what happens, or how does all of that doc management work?
Well, under your apps menu right here, that's where you will find all of your controls for your different apps. So when you go to Drive, this is where you can actually see the active users, the number of docs that are created, the number of docs that are shared, and you can actually do control the drive for these for your users and give them control. And you can set whether or not files can be owned outside of your domain. And all of these settings, no matter what it is, every setting in your domain is global, and it can trickle all the way down to the individual user, and that's through organizations, which the organizations is just another word for subgroups. Not like Google group or email group, but organization being campus, being admin, things like that. And then you can say, because if you look right here, it says on for everyone. Well, I can change that to on for some organizations, and then I tell it what organizations it is on for. And by default, the organizations will inherit their parent privileges until you change that. So you can tweak this down to the user level if you need to.
And so that's how you set up user permissions for teachers versus students?
I'm sorry, what?
That's
exactly. On our campus, that's...
Go ahead.
On our campus, that's how we have YouTube available to the teachers, but not directly available to the students.
And when you have... this is really handy for admins. You can do this on the user level, like from the user's account, but you can also do it right here. If you have admins that are leaving the district and you need to transfer their documents, their in-house documents to the new admin, the new replacement, and this works well for teachers too. It's not used very often for teaching positions, but for more of admins or other type of positions where there's a lot of documentation that you'll need for your new position that you're the only person that has it. You can actually transfer ownership of the entire drive from one user to another.
Now, kind of a personal question on this one, Chris, but you were showing up at the top where it says how many docs and stuff are used, is
Yes.
there a way to break that down over a given amount of time? Or
Yes.
let's say that I wanted to figure out month by month how many docs were used.
That's going to be under your reports. And you can see, I don't have a whole lot of activity on here, but you can see there's 2 active users. I have no suspended users, no blocked users. Then you can see highlights of your usage, and you can change your 7 days, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever you need. Security. These are externally visible files. These are files that have been shared outside of your district.
And so anything created with Classroom would count for this too, right?
Yes. And you can audit
Now, I'm not.
Drive. I'm sorry, what?
I'm not sure if you've mentioned this or not, but you can set up defaults as to when students go to share files. We have it set to only allow them to share them within our domain. So if we want something shared outside or externally, you have to go to a different user to do that.
Right, and that's done back on the in the app section where you control access, and again you can allow staff to share outside of the district but not students. I know we restrict communicating through email outside of the district to high school only. So they can communicate with college recruiters and things like that. But below high school, no one is allowed to communicate outside of the domain. And that's all controlled back through in the Gmail settings. And you can, under these reports, Jeff, if there's activity that you're specifically curious about, you can actually turn on alerts, and you will get an email notification of when certain, you can build like custom alerts. Now I'll be honest, this isn't anything I've really played around with, but there are custom alerts that you can build to get notified of different things like suspicious login activity, and when someone has changed their password, or someone has changed someone's admin privileges, or a new user gets added. So if you're the super admin and you have other responsibilities that are delegated out to other staff members, and you want to know, okay, well, this person created a new user. Why did they create a new user? You can get a notification. Just turn that on, just like that, and you will get an email whenever that alert is triggered.
You know, the neat part about this that I'm finding is there's a lot of these things that you can do when you're logging in. And I was sitting here before the show starting, and I pulled up the Google Admin iPad app. And a lot of the stuff you can use directly from your phone or from your tablet.
Yes. It's not as intuitive as the web version, but there is a mobile app for the admin panel that a lot of this stuff is available through. Yes.
You don't get access to creating a lot of these things. You don't get access to, but the big things that you want to do, you certainly can. I mean, clearly you're not going to be setting up 10,000 Chromebooks on your phone.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of neat things that you can certainly do on here. So these things are available. What can we do? I'm asking this for Chris and David, but what can we do if we want to learn more about this? Are there resources that we can go to figure out how this goes? Tell us a little bit about what it takes to be Google Admin certified.
Well, what I found, other than actually doing it, what I found to be the most helpful was the admin trainer service, the admin training class that Google provides, and there it is. It's admin-training.googleapps.com. So admin-training.googleapps.com. This is a course provided by Google for Google Apps Administrator certification. Now, it does have a enterprise. It is directed toward enterprise. It is not directed toward Google Apps for Education. It's Google for Work is what it's actually built for, but the concepts are the same. And it gives you a scenario to use. And if this is what you're wanting to use and you don't have if you're not an admin and you don't have your own, if you don't have access to an admin domain, you can actually get a 30-day free trial of a Google Apps domain, and that's what Google recommends before you go through this course. If you don't have access to your own, domain, is you can actually do a 30-day trial, and in that 30 days complete this course, and then when you take your test, it's a practical exam that will test you on all of the different things that we're going over tonight.
David, is this how you learned how to do all your admin stuff when you were taking your training?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we do have a network admin at our school that manages our domain. I have shadowed him off and on for the last several years, and when it came time for me to think about doing my admin training, I talked with him. We specifically looked at some scenarios that he goes through on a regular basis, and then I got the sandbox domain and I did the 30 days, and I think I finished it within a week or so. It's you could probably do it over a weekend if you were really ambitious, but it was really, really helpful. And it was, at the time, it was very unlike the other Google for Education type modules where you learn how to integrate Google Docs and Gmail and Calendar, all that. Those used to be sort of multiple choice. I know they recently changed, but this admin training console I thought was pretty great because, as Chris said, it's scenario based. So you have your sandbox, and then you have these. Okay, you have a employee X just got married, needs to create up an alias. How would you do that? You need to add these users with these different permissions. You have contractors coming in who you need to give X permissions to, but you don't want to give them this. So it's all really scenario based and practical. I thought it was very, very helpful.
And is that a test that you have to take every year? What's the expiration date on that?
18 months.
Okay. So that's
and it's a standalone. It's a standalone certificate. It's not like the trainer credentials where you have to test, or what the trainer credentials used to be, where you had to have any kind of prerequisite certification. This stands alone on its own as its own certification, and it's new enough because this just launched within the last 12 to 18 months, I believe. Because the admin panel used to be part of the original Google Educator certificate that was the prerequisite to becoming a trainer. When they launched this as a standalone about a year and a half maybe ago, it's not part of the big overhaul that they did because it's still fresh enough that they didn't need to change anything. So as of right now, the admin certificate remains the same, where you take the practical exam every 18 months.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of support as you're going through this, and if you're sort of an admin to be, or you are actually an admin at the moment and just need support, I know that the fate of Google Plus is not looking very bright, but there are some really great Google domain admin communities out there that I'm a part of, that certainly every day there are questions being brought to that community. And just crowdsourcing, here's what we do, here's our best practice for this or that. And I found that to be incredibly helpful as well.
There's some people that are over here on the chat that are asking for help using Google Apps. I found this site, and Google's coming out with some new things every single day. This is learn.googleapps.com. This is a website certainly brand new to me, but essentially you can come in here and let's just say that I want to learn about Google Drive. I can click on this. I can learn how to switch things from Dropbox. I can download this PDF, and this talks about all the differences. I mean, this is some pretty heavy stuff here. that goes into all the apps. How do you get started? Let's click over here on, let's click on Google Calendar. That's been a big thing here. We're going to get started. And there are online courses. There are step-by-step tutorials. Everything you need to know literally is right here. If you're looking to do some of the educator or innovator tests, this is an amazing site. learn.googleapps.com. And so certainly check that out. Peggy, if you can put that one into the chat, that would be great.
Jeff, on that, I was looking at that as well. And there's a bar of text links right under where it says Google Apps Learning Center. On the far right, it says for Google Apps administrators. And there's a series of links specifically for administrators. And the fourth link down is certification for administrators. That actually takes you to the site that will has a link to register and take the course, and a site take the test, and a link to get to the course that we just looked at.
That's very helpful. Sam, let's make sure that we definitely have that one in our show notes, as people are going to be looking for teachercast.net/TEP98. TEP98. David, you had said Google Plus is slowly fading away, and I've been getting those kinds of messages too. When it comes to setting these things up, we're looking at building communities. We're building ways for teachers to communicate. What are some of those ways that are good for teachers to communicate? Do we set up Google groups for every grade level, subject area, whatever? Do we set up Google Plus communities? Do we just email in bulk? What are some best practices for creating user groups to support learning around your staff?
Yeah, I mean, we were big users of communities. We had department and divisional communities that were basically virtual faculty rooms for us. And so that looks like it's going to be changing. And so we're trying to be nimble. We have this summer started creating Google Sites that can kind of take the place of those. And we definitely have as well departmental groups within our domain so that we can send an email to librarians at, or English at, and it gets sent to everybody sort of like as a listserv. But we're sort of in that place right now. We're not entirely sure what that's going to look like for us. So we're also looking for suggestions.
And when you set up librarians at, is that a Google group? Is that an alias? Is that what is that?
It is a Google group for us. Yeah.
And is that, but we were saying earlier that if you wanted to create an email address that says highschool@yourschool.com, that's not a Google group that we were setting up. That was something different.
Right. Yeah, no, it is a separate thing entirely. So it's basically a discussion group. So Jeff, I think you're part of the sort of Google trainer, Google groups that we're part of, and those sort of these discussion forums. Right. That's what we have. We also have email groups that our librarians at. That we use for our Amazon accounts or our relationships with outside vendors, and they go to everybody, so they're an email group.
There's a lot of stuff here, guys, and I know we covered an awful lot of this. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the show at TechEdShow, and I'd be happy to put you in contact with Chris. Chris, what's your Twitter? Where do we find you? Chris is muted.
Chris is muted.
Okay, there we go. I'm back. Sorry. My Twitter handle is at ChrisEvans17, and that's the best way to get in touch with me. Whenever I get a tweet, it goes off in about 7 different places. So yeah, hit me up on Twitter, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm active on Google Plus as well for as long as it lives. I'm kind of hoping that Google Plus becomes one of those tools that survives as an education-only thing, because that has happened in the past, but we'll see.
David, right. where can we go? Where do we?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm gonna ask. Maybe this is a group maybe that might know the answer better than I do. So Google Plus is being broken into 3 distinct apps, right? It's already broken into Hangouts. It's already broken into Photos. Is the third one like Stream? Is that what it's called? And is that going to be something that communities might be a part of? Does anyone have any insight into that?
I haven't heard. Sam, how about you? Sam is miming.
Yeah, I haven't heard either. That what you just said is all the information I have. But again, it's happened in the past where there are Google apps and Google services that the education world has really embraced, but the general public didn't, and they decided to make it a Google Apps for Education only thing. So we're all kind of crossing our fingers that if nothing else, the communities and Google Plus as it exists right now will exist for the apps for education.
We just don't trust them after that whole reader thing.
Oh, that was a heartbreaker.
Yes. Oh God, I'm still hurt.
We have a few minutes left. Let's go around the room here. Favorite Google tool or tools to use? Chris, what's the one thing out of SmackDown that you want to share with somebody?
Google Keep. Google Keep is my new best friend. It's very handy on mobile. You can also get to it keep.google.com. It's like Evernote Lite, and you can make checklists. You can I can export directly out of Chrome and create myself a note. It's basically sticky notes, and you can tag them, you can color code them, you can organize them in groups, you can archive them. It's great. It's got a Gmail meets sticky notes kind of feel as far as the organizational structure, but absolutely love Google Keep.
You know, I recently met Google Keep when I was at Apps University, and I was so proud of this, and I remember going back to our Voxer group and telling everybody, hey, I just learned about this Google Keep thing, and somebody was like, dude, that's like 6 years old. But it seems so awesome.
Sam's going analog.
I got your sticky notes right here.
But the only down, I mean, and I love this. The only down thing to this is there's no app to it. I actually had to pay for a $1 app from a third-party vendor to use this.
On iOS, yes, that's true. On Android, there is a native app. For iOS, there is not a native app. On my iPad, I just get to it through Safari.
Okay, so you just have it. You just have the Safari book noted in it. Okay, that works.
Yeah, I just made a shortcut on my home screen to it, and I just use the web version on my iPad, and it works out really well.
I'm sorry. Do you have Patterson Keep over there? What is that?
Yeah, these are some browser extensions I've added on to help me bookmark different places. This is actually a Google Play notebook that counts for anything.
I see it's handwriting compatible too.
Completely handwriting compatible.
Patterson.
Very.
Patterson.
David, what's your Google tool of use these days?
You know, it's funny. I just recently at ISTE had a phone crisis, and my Android broke at the Phillies game. I'm holding it here; it's all cracked.
Yeah.
And so I went back to an iPhone. I hadn't had one for a while, and I am finding that some of the tools that I really started to rely on in my Android phone that weren't available in iOS when I switched are now available in iOS. And one of those would be the Photosphere app. I love this Photosphere app. And that allows me to take 360-degree photos that I can then import and use in my Google Cardboard for totally immersive 360-degree campus tours, library tours, and things like that. So the Photosphere app, I love.
And is that better than spending the $100 and some on that device that Donnie had at Apps University?
That thing was pretty awesome too, but that just takes it in one shot versus with the Photosphere app, you actually have to go around in a circle. It takes a little bit of time.
So this is like exercise.
Yeah, and if you go too fast, it says slow down and you're going too fast. But the one that Donnie had, just go click, and it takes a 360-degree photo.
And then everybody loses their memory for a minute.
That's right.
Hey, is Google Keep available cross accounts? Like, can I hook my Google Keep into 2 different Gmail accounts?
You can share. You can share notes in Google Keep. So if you want to have like a personal Google Keep account, or you have a personal Google account and you've got like personal stuff, and then you have your apps for education account for work, and you have Keep on that. Excuse me. You can actually share notes with other.
But that's
Gmail.
That's individual, right?
Yes, that's individual.
Okay.
To my knowledge, there's no way to have like it's not like a universal inbox kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't
But
think so.
you can share all of the content between accounts.
Okay.
And I've been working on creating a color coding system within Keep to sort of prioritize things for me. So you can drag and drop things around as you want, but you also color code individual notes. And so I've been working on how to color code them in a way that helps me to keep the highest priority things on top.
Sam, can you change the color of your sticky notes on your system?
Yeah, definitely. This one's less yellow than it was earlier today.
Just leave it in the back seat of your car.
That actually will do it pretty quickly here. I can turn them brown by giving them to the dog. Just takes a little while.
Classy. Keeping it classy here.
Sam, I guess you're next. What's your Google tool of use?
My Google tool of use has got to be slides, because you can do so many things. Or draw. No, it's definitely draw. Forget about slides. It's all about draw. Because I've seen so many great.
Does Google Draw mean the same thing in the West as it does in the East?
I hope so.
Okay.
Oh, I see. That's funny. I've seen so many great lessons that teachers have built using the entire work surface of Google Draw. Well, they'll put the instructions or whatever kind of in the middle, but then they'll put all of the content pieces they want students to use around the sides. So it's a really great space to build instructional pieces.
Okay. I don't think we've done a show on Google Draw. Maybe we will do that in our next season. I will tell you a couple things that I've noticed. Have you guys tried the new Google Photos app?
Yeah, it's great.
It's fantastic. I sucked up all my photos into it. Then the next thing I know, it's like, do you want to see your movies? And it takes like all of your groups of shots from like one location, and it automatically turns these things into movies and slideshows and puts music behind it. And I'm like, this is awesome. This is really, really cool. And then I just got recently into the Google Calendars app, and I realized that the Google Calendars app is pretty darn powerful. And you can do anything that you want. And it also works cross login. So it doesn't matter if you're going between a Gmail account or a Google Apps for Education account. It will actually figure out all of that stuff and work for you. That's pretty cool. The one thing that I want to share off here is Google Sites. Because one thing I learned is you can take a Google site from somebody, and just like your docs and sheets and stuff, you can copy Google Sites. And I think that's awesome.
So that would allow you to, for example, if you had a
curate,
you could set up a Google site template for your entire school.
You can set up a Google site template for your entire school, but this was actually, and David will remember the lady's name far before I am, but I found this Google site on one of her handouts from Apps University. Right, and I copied this, and then I used this as the template to build what I've been working on for school. And this was awesome because all I had to do was come in here and edit her page, and I could see how she built this. And then through that, I was able just to take some of this text and take a couple other things. And then I've been building all over the weekend here my new tech coach stuff. And so I put my calendar on here, and then I built out these things, and I changed a bunch of these words around, but kind of took the same ideas. But I was only really able to do that because of the whole archiving. That's the word. And copying and pasting and stuff like that. So I really like Google Sites. Not as much as WordPress, but I'm learning what you can and can't do with them to make them look pretty darn cool.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of neat stuff going on. And, what we're looking for right now from anybody out there watching or still listening is we are looking for topics. If you have any topic suggestions for the Tech Educator Show, we are going to be planning out our next season, which is going to start in September. And we are looking for topics. If you want to have us talk about Google Keep or Google Sites or Google whatever, Google Admin, we want to know. You can certainly reach out to us on Twitter at TechEdShow, or you can certainly leave us a voicemail over at teachercast.net/voicemail, or email us at feedback@teachercast.net. We are looking to put shows together. We're not done for the summer, though, guys. We have 2 more shows to go. This is episode 98. Next week, we're going to be doing augmented reality with Jeff Herb, who's going to be leading that one. That's going to be episode 99. And then guess what comes after that, Sam?
7.
We're going to be having our one.
I don't know.
I'm going to tell you. We're going to be having our 100th episode coming up at the end of July, and we're going to be doing a big, huge retrospective on podcasting and how this is all changed and kind of going from there. So that's going to be the end of our 2015 season. We're going to pick up and do the 15-16 season coming in September, but essentially we're going to be taking August off because I'm going to move and I'm starting a new job, and I figured let's get to 100 episodes and we'll go from there. Before I go, and I know we have a lot of people watching live, and I wanted to make sure that Sam and Dave were on here too, and Chris, but yesterday was a very, very big day where TeacherCast is actually now 4 years old. It was 4 years ago on July 11th, 2011, that TeacherCast was conceived, built, designed, domain registered, all of that stuff. And thank you. I just want to, I want to always make sure that I say thank you guys out there for supporting me, for dealing with this, and for helping us out. We just passed 1.5 million minutes of YouTube videos watched, which is a really, really huge number in my opinion. I don't know what that all means, but I was looking at that number going, wow. So thank you for checking out the videos. Thank you for listening to the audio. There's certainly plenty more as we go through the summertime. Like I said, we're going to take August and change things around. ISTE was amazing. We made some great new friends and some contacts, and you're going to be seeing some pretty cool stuff coming out between us and Microsoft, us and Chris Sharens, and the TechEducator Podcast might be taking on some new members. And yeah, 4 years old. Definitely want to say thank you to well, I don't see him on here, but I think we do need to give a big shout out to all the support that Craig Yen has given us over the while. But I think Craig Yen he's still in Hawaii. Last time I heard from him. But seriously, guys,
he probably didn't change his clock.
Very cool. He'll be checking this out at midnight tonight. But thank you guys. Thank you. Certainly big shout out to Peggy George, who's been a major help. And check out Classroom 2.0 when she comes back live in September too. Guys, I will see you all next week. We're going to be talking about augmented reality. And if you're out there watching live, this show will be archived over at teachercast.net/TEP98. On behalf of everybody here on the Tech Educator Podcast, thank you so much. Hope you're enjoying your summertime, and enjoy. Peggy says yes to Craig Yen. Peggy, are you keeping Craig Yen out there in Arizona somewhere? Have you seen the yen? Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week for episode number 99.